She didn't tell her daughter, didn't want to worry anyone. But lately, every time she stood up, the room tilted. At first, she thought it was dehydration. Then, just age. But deep down, she knew something had changed. Her legs, once steady, now wobbled at the sink. They slid slightly on the kitchen tile, hesitated on the steps. One night, she gripped the bathroom counter and whispered to herself, "Don't fall. Not now. Not alone." She used to walk every evening after dinner. Nothing fancy, just a quiet loop around the block. Now she watches through the window. Not because she wants to, but because her body no longer feels like something she can rely on. And maybe that's the hardest part. Not the pain, not even the fatigue, but the silence. The quiet surrender of strength that used to come so naturally. But what if it's not surrender? What if her body hasn't given up but simply been waiting for a different kind of signal? A small shift, a better rhythm, a return to something simpler. No prescriptions, no complicated routines, just a few gentle habits. And mornings, they might just feel like hers again. The lie we've all been told, muscle loss is not inevitable. Most people believe muscle loss is just part of getting older, like gray hair or reading glasses. But that belief has quietly stolen more strength than age ever could. Because somewhere in the quiet towns and tucked-away neighborhoods of America, there are men and women in their 70s climbing mountains, lifting grandchildren, and walking without fear. Not former athletes, not genetic outliers. Just people who refuse to believe that decline was their only path forward. Scientists at the Mayo Clinic and Harvard have found something remarkable. Muscle doesn't vanish because of age. It fades because of disuse. And with the right habits, even in your 70s or 80s, your body can respond. Not perfectly, not instantly, but powerfully. There are people right now, older than you, rebuilding strength, regaining balance, moving through each day with more control than they had 10 years ago. The difference? They listened. Not to fear, not to old rules, but to what the science now shows, that aging muscles aren't broken, they're waiting to be reawakened. And for those who are ready, there is a way back. The power of stress, why cold, heat, and hunger make you stronger. Harold starts every morning the same way, standing barefoot on the tile floor, hand hovering over the shower handle. He knows what's coming. 30 seconds of icy water, no soap, no warmth, just the kind of discomfort most people spend their whole lives avoiding. But Harold, at 78, walks without a cane, and last month he helped his son carry a mattress up 2 flights of stairs. It sounds backwards, even reckless, but science calls it hormesis. A strange truth where small doses of physical stress actually make the body stronger, not weaker. Studies from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging show that when we subject ourselves to brief, controlled stress, like cold, heat, or fasting, it activates cellular defense mechanisms. These aren't survival tricks. They're muscle-preserving, longevity-enhancing biological responses built into us. When Harold started this habit, he didn't expect much. He just wanted to stop feeling stiff in the mornings. But within a month, he noticed something odd. His legs felt lighter on the stairs, his balance steadier when stepping off a curb. His daughter said he looked more awake than usual. It turns out, cold exposure, like ending a shower with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water, stimulates brown fat, which in turn increases mitochondrial activity and releases adiponectin, a hormone that helps protect muscles from breakdown. Heat exposure works similarly. Regular sauna use, 4 to 7 times per week, has been shown to reduce age-related muscle loss by over 40%, according to long-term studies from Finland. The secret? Heat shock proteins, molecules that not only repair damaged muscle tissue, but also prevent further decay. Harold didn't stop there. Twice a week, he skips breakfast entirely and limits his meals to an 8-hour window. It's not about losing weight. It's about triggering autophagy, the body's natural cleanup process. When done safely, intermittent fasting helps improve muscle quality and insulin sensitivity, giving aging bodies the ability to use nutrients more effectively. His neighbor Joyce, age 75, joined him in the habit, but in her own way. She started with 5 minutes of gentle sun in the morning, followed by a warm bath with Epsom salt. She fasts once a week, sipping broth until lunch. They call it their reset routine. Neither of them talks about youth. They talk about clarity, balance. the joy of bending down to tie a shoe and standing up without hesitation. What Harold and Joyce discovered is simple. The body doesn't just lose strength with age, it's allowed to rebuild. And sometimes the most powerful reminder is a little well-placed discomfort. Feed the muscle clock. Why when you eat protein matters more than you think. Diane always thought she was doing everything right. 3 balanced meals, some fruit in the morning, a sandwich at lunch, a hearty dinner with meat and vegetables. She wasn't skipping meals. She wasn't eating junk. So why did her legs still feel weak when she got out of bed? Why did her arms tremble slightly when she reached for a mixing bowl? The truth came during a casual nutrition workshop at her local community center. A visiting dietitian was talking about something Diane had never heard of before: anabolic resistance. As we age, our muscles become less responsive to protein. It's not just how much we eat, it's when and how often we eat it. Unlike fat or sugar, our bodies can't store protein for later. That means muscles need a steady supply spaced across the day, or they quietly begin to waste away. At the University of Texas, researchers discovered something remarkable. When seniors consumed 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at each meal, they were able to build up to 25% more muscle mass than those who ate the same amount of protein all at once, usually at dinner. The difference wasn't what they ate. It was when they ate it. Diane's typical breakfast, toast and jam with coffee, barely had 3 grams of protein. Her lunch added a bit more, but it wasn't until dinner that her muscles finally got what they needed. And by then, most of the day had passed. No wonder her body felt underfueled. She decided to make a small change. She swapped her toast for Greek yogurt with chia seeds and a boiled egg. For lunch, she added a lentil soup with crackers and a handful of almonds. Her dinners remained the same. Within 4 weeks, she noticed a difference. Her morning steps felt steadier. Her hands no longer trembled when she buttoned her coat. And most surprisingly of all, she didn't feel that deep afternoon fatigue that used to settle around 2 p.m. It wasn't more food. It was better timing. Her story reflects a broader truth that many seniors are never told: that muscle maintenance requires rhythm. After each protein-rich meal, there's a 3 to 4 hour window where your muscles are primed to synthesize new tissue. Miss that rhythm, and the opportunity fades. Now Diane starts each day with a quiet promise: to feed her strength early, gently, and often. Not with supplements, not with protein bars, just real food at the right time. Because in the second half of life, strength isn't just built in the gym, it's built in the kitchen, one smart meal at a time. The muscle vitamin most seniors are missing. James always thought sunshine was enough. He took his morning walk religiously, 40 minutes around the block, even in winter, and felt proud that he didn't need pills to feel healthy. But somewhere along the way, his legs began to betray him. He felt slower, less sure on his feet, more tired by midday, and he couldn't understand why. His doctor suggested a simple blood test. A few days later, the results came in. His vitamin D level was dangerously low, 18 ungrams per milliliters. That confused James. How could someone who walks in the sun every day be deficient in the sunshine vitamin? What his doctor explained shocked him and may surprise you too. After age 65, our skin's ability to convert sunlight into vitamin D drops by more than 50%. Even if we spend time outdoors, our bodies may no longer make enough of it. And without sufficient vitamin D, our muscles suffer silently. Vitamin D is often associated with bones, but its role in muscle health is critical. It activates genes involved in muscle synthesis, repair, and coordination. Harvard researchers found that seniors with vitamin D levels over 40 nanograms per milliliter had 25% greater strength, faster reflexes, and significantly lower fall risk than those who were deficient. And it's not just about strength. James' doctor told him something he'll never forget: vitamin D helps your muscles listen to your brain. Without it, the messages from your nervous system arrive late or not at all. That's why people with low levels often feel unsteady, slow to react, or disconnected from their own bodies. James began supplementing with 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily, paired with meals that included healthy fats like sardines, egg yolks, and fortified milk to help absorption. He also learned that pairing vitamin D with vitamin K2 was essential. Without K2, calcium can be deposited in the arteries instead of going to the bones and muscles, leading to long-term complications. Within 6 weeks, things began to shift. His energy returned first, then his balance, then something even more powerful, his confidence. He no longer feared the front porch steps. He no longer felt the need to grip the handrail just in case. James didn't need a new medication. He needed a nutrient his body had quietly lost along the way. A signal that told his muscles, you're still alive, you're still needed. Type 1 if your legs have ever felt like they weren't truly yours. Type 2 if you've ever sighed and said, maybe it's just age. I read every comment because maybe the next story will be yours. The hidden fire, how silent inflammation eats away at strength. Elaine couldn't remember when the aches began. It wasn't sudden, just a slow, creeping discomfort. A stiffness in her knees when she stood, a dull pain in her hips after a short walk, a heavy feeling in her legs that made stairs feel twice as long. At first, she blamed the weather, then her age, then her mattress. But nothing she changed made a real difference. What she didn't realize was that her body had been fighting a quiet war, one that left no bruises, one she couldn't see. It was called inflammaging, a term scientists now use to describe the chronic, low-grade inflammation that builds up inside the body as we grow older. It's not the kind that comes with fever or swelling. It's the invisible kind. The kind that slowly erodes muscle tissue, weakens your immune system, and blocks the very signals that tell your body to repair itself. According to a major study from Tufts University, seniors with the highest levels of inflammatory markers lost muscle mass 3 times faster than those with lower levels, even when their diets and exercise routines were the same. That was the part that shocked Elaine most. It wasn't about doing more. It was about reducing the silent damage happening underneath. So she started with one thing: sleep. She committed to going to bed at the same time every night. She darkened her room, removed screens, and used soft light in the evening. Within a week, her sleep deepened, and with it, her body began to repair. Sleep alone can reduce inflammatory cytokines by over 40%, according to research from the University of California. Next, she turned to her gut. Aging changes the balance of bacteria in the digestive tract, which in turn drives inflammation throughout the body. Elaine added kefir to her breakfast, sauerkraut to her lunch, and a handful of berries to her afternoon snack. She focused on variety, 30 different plant foods a week, as recommended by new microbiome research. She didn't stop moving, but she learned to adjust her intensity. Instead of pushing through fatigue, she embraced moderate daily activity, short walks, gentle stretching, and once or twice a week, a burst of something more intense, like cycling or light dancing. And perhaps most importantly, she began including anti-inflammatory nutrients in her meals. Omega-3s from salmon and flax seeds, curcumin from turmeric tea, and a daily drizzle of extra virgin olive oil over her vegetables. The results didn't come overnight, but slowly the fire went out. Her knees felt more fluid, her mornings less foggy, her energy more stable. And for the first time in years, she walked through the park, not to test herself, but to enjoy it. Because sometimes strength isn't something you push toward. It's something that returns once you learn how to quiet the flame. The invisible helpers, micronutrients that make muscles work. Victor was doing everything right, or so he thought. He exercised 3 times a week, ate protein with every meal, stayed hydrated, and even took a basic multivitamin. But still, he felt off. His legs didn't respond the way they used to. His grip strength had faded. He couldn't open jars like he used to. He'd pause mid-sentence, losing track of his thought. And deep inside, he wondered, what am I missing? Then one day, during a wellness screening at the senior center, he got the answer. A visiting health coach explained that many older adults unknowingly suffer from micronutrient depletion, not the kind that shows up on a regular checkup, but just enough to slow everything down. Muscles, mind, mood. Especially after age 60, when absorption declines, stomach acid weakens, and long-term medications interfere with nutrient uptake. Victor was low in magnesium, vitamin B12, and had never even heard of creatine beyond gym ads. But here's what he learned. Magnesium is a cofactor in more than 300 enzymatic reactions, many of them directly tied to muscle contraction and energy production. Without enough, your muscles feel sluggish, your nerves misfire, and your sleep turns shallow. Vitamin B12, especially in its methylated form, is essential for nerve communication and red blood cell formation. Without it, the brain-to-muscle connection weakens. And as for creatine, far from being a bodybuilder's tool, research from McMaster University shows that just 3 to 5 grams per day can improve muscle mass, brain function, and overall energy in seniors, especially when paired with light resistance exercise. So Victor made changes. He switched to a methylated B12 supplement, added magnesium glycinate before bed, and began taking creatine monohydrate with his morning smoothie. He didn't stop there. He included pumpkin seeds, spinach, almonds, and dark chocolate in his weekly meals. He asked his doctor to run a micronutrient panel, which revealed mild deficiencies in zinc and selenium, both critical for protein synthesis and cellular repair. Within 6 weeks, the results were undeniable. His grip strength returned. His thoughts flowed more clearly. The heaviness he once felt in his thighs was gone. And one afternoon, while lifting a potted plant off his porch, he realized, this used to be hard. Not anymore. Victor hadn't changed his workout. He'd changed his foundation. Because no matter how hard you try to build, muscles can't grow on empty. They need signals, nutrients, and support from the inside out. Sometimes progress doesn't come from doing more. It comes from finally giving your body what it was quietly missing. The forgotten link, how your brain talks to your muscles. Linda didn't fall, but she almost did, twice in 1 week. It wasn't clumsiness. It wasn't her shoes. It was something she couldn't quite explain. Her legs felt fine. But in that split second when she needed them to catch her, they froze. The message didn't land in time. She mentioned it during her next checkup, expecting to hear about muscle loss. Instead, her doctor brought up something she'd never considered: neuromuscular decay. It's what happens when the connection between your brain and your muscles, the electric highway that tells your body how and when to move, starts to slow down with age. What most people don't know is that this breakdown can begin long before the muscles themselves weaken. And worse, no amount of protein or exercise can help if the message from your brain isn't getting through. But here's the hope. You can rebuild the connection. Researchers at the University of Michigan and Columbia University have shown that engaging in coordinated movement, like Tai Chi, dancing, ping pong, even simple balance routines, helps preserve these brain-to-muscle pathways. The brain, when challenged with timing, rhythm, and spatial awareness, relearns how to recruit muscles more efficiently. So Linda made a decision. Twice a week, she joined a local Tai Chi class at the community center. At first, she felt silly, slow, unsure, unbalanced. But the movements were gentle, the breathing helped, and soon, something shifted. Her legs moved with more intention. Her reflexes felt sharper. Even her posture improved. She wasn't training to perform. She was training to communicate, to reestablish trust between her brain and body. Because the strongest muscles in the world mean little if they don't know when or how to move. Strength is freedom, the one habit that changes everything. Tom didn't want six-pack abs. He didn't want to run a marathon. He just wanted to lift his granddaughter without gritting his teeth, or reach the top shelf without wobbling, or step out of the shower without feeling like the floor might vanish beneath him. He didn't start with weights. He started with soup cans. Twice a week, sitting in his living room, he pushed and pulled those cans in slow, steady motions. It wasn't about building bulk. It was about sending a message to his muscles. You're still needed. What Tom didn't know then, but research from Tufts and McMaster University confirms, is that progressive resistance training is the most powerful anti-aging tool we've ever discovered. Not long walks, not cardio, not stretching, but gradually challenging your muscles to do just a little more, week by week. And it doesn't take much, 2 30-minute sessions a week. Focusing on compound movements like squats, rows, or wall push-ups, adjusted to your ability. With every controlled repetition, the body responds, building strength, improving balance, boosting brain function, and even regulating blood sugar and bone density. 3 months after he started, Tom wasn't lifting soup cans anymore. He was carrying groceries without thinking twice. He could stand up from the couch without using his hands. And best of all, his granddaughter ran to him. And he caught her. Solid, balanced, smiling. Tom didn't get younger. He got capable. Because real strength isn't loud. It doesn't boast. It simply shows up when you need it most. In a quiet moment that once felt unreachable, but no longer is. So if this feels familiar, if your body has been whispering for a second chance, maybe now's the time to listen. You can save this video just in case you need it one morning. Or if this felt true to you, the next one is waiting for you right below. We've built this series for you, not to fight age, but to help you move with it.